The rain hammered down on the cracked sidewalk of Brooklyn's back alleys like it had a personal grudge, turning the world into a blurry smear of neon and shadow. I stood there, soaked to the bone, my backpack slung over one shoulder like a lifeline I wasn't sure I deserved, watching my father's truck peel away into the night without a backward glance. "You're dead to us, Sean, freak." He'd spat through the open window, his voice cracking like thunder. And in that moment, I knew the family I'd fought to hold on to for 22 years had just voted me out for good. My knees buckled, but I caught myself against the rusted chain-link fence, the metal biting into my palm like teeth. The word freak echoed in my skull, a slur hurled not just for the tears I'd shed over a boy in high school, but for the truth I'd finally confessed over dinner that night. The truth that I loved men, that my heart beat in rhythms they couldn't stomach. Mom had turned away first, her silence louder than any scream, while Dad's face twisted into something unrecognizable, a mask of betrayal and rage. Now, here I was, evicted from the only home I'd known, with $50 in my pocket, a half-charged phone, and the kind of emptiness that makes you wonder if breathing is worth the effort. I stumbled forward, the alley swallowing me whole, my sneakers splashing through puddles that reflected the garish glow of a distant bodega sign. New York had always felt like a beast. Roaring subways, endless crowds, dreams stacked like skyscrapers. But tonight, it was a monster with jaws wide open. I didn't hear the footsteps until they were right behind me, heavy and deliberate, cutting through the downpour like a warning shot. "Hey kid, watch where you're stumbling. This ain't the place for lost puppies." I whipped around, heart slamming against my ribs, and there he was. A wall of a man, broad-shouldered and weathered, his dark coat slick with rain, a wool beanie pulled low over salt and pepper hair. His eyes, steel gray, sharp as broken glass, locked onto mine, not with pity, but something harder, like he was sizing up a sparring partner. Arthur, he said his name was later, but in that instant, he was just a shadow stepping out of the storm, offering a gloved hand that smelled faintly of motor oil and cigarette smoke. I jerked back, instinct screaming trap, but he didn't move closer. "Name's Arthur. Saw that truck hightail it outta here like the devil was on its tail. You need a dry spot? Or you plannin' to audition for a drowned rat?" His voice was gravelly, laced with that thick Queen's accent that turned every vowel into a challenge. I opened my mouth to snap something defiant. "I'm fine. Back off." But the words dissolved into a choke, hot tears mixing with the cold rain on my face. He sighed, not impatiently, but like he'd seen this script play out 100 times before, and pulled a battered umbrella from his coat pocket, holding it out like a truce flag. "Come on, Sean, yeah, I heard the yelling. Let's get you out of this mess before you catch your death." How he knew my name, I'll never know. Maybe Dad had bellowed it one too many times, but I took the umbrella, my fingers brushing his, rough and calloused, steady in a way that made my chest ache. We walked in silence to his truck, an old Ford pickup parked crookedly under a flickering street lamp, its bed loaded with toolboxes and scrap metal from whatever job kept him grinding. He cranked the heat as high as it would go once I was inside, the cab filling with the scent of wet leather and black coffee from a thermos he shoved into my hands. "Drink. It'll warm your bones." He didn't pry, not then, just drove through the labyrinth of Brooklyn streets, the wipers slapping rhythmically against the windshield like a metronome to my unraveling thoughts. We ended up at a nondescript brownstone in Bed-Stuy, the kind with iron bars on the windows and a stoop littered with cigarette butts. His place, 3rd floor, walk up, the stairs creaking under our weight like old bones protesting the cold. Inside, it was a time capsule of blue-collar grit. Faded posters of Muhammad Ali fights taped to peeling wallpaper, a kitchen table scarred from God knows what, and a couch that sagged invitingly under a pile of flannel blankets. He tossed me a towel, dry clothes, a oversized flannel shirt and sweatpants that drowned me, and pointed to the bathroom. "Shower's hot. I'll heat up some soup. No questions till you're human again." I stood under the spray longer than I needed to, letting the steam scrub away the grime of the night, but not the knot in my gut. When I emerged, steam curling around me like ghosts, Arthur was at the stove, stirring a pot of chicken noodle that smelled like childhood I didn't deserve anymore. He ladled it into bowls without a word, sliding one across the table with a chunk of crusty bread. "Eat," he said, settling into a chair that groaned under his bulk. He was pushing 40, maybe, built like a retired boxer. Solid, not flashy, with a jaw shadowed by stubble and arms inked with faded tattoos that peeked from his sleeves. A compass rose on one forearm, a quote in looping script on the other that I couldn't make out in the dim light. I picked at the soup, the warmth spreading through me like a hesitant thaw. "Why?" I finally muttered, voice raw. "Why help a stranger who just got kicked to the curb for being me?" He leaned back, crossing his arms, those gray eyes steady. "Because I know that look, kid. The one that says the world's just punched you in the throat and you're wondering if you can get back up. Had it myself once. Long time ago." He paused, sipping his coffee black as midnight. "And because leaving you out there? That'd make me no better than the bastards who did this." That night, I crashed on his couch, the city humming outside like a lullaby I couldn't trust. Sleep came in fits, haunted by Dad's face, Mom's averted eyes, the slam of the truck door echoing like finality. But in the quiet hours, with Arthur's snores rumbling from the bedroom down the hall, a sliver of something stirred. Not hope, not yet, but the faint outline of possibility. Little did I know, this gruff stranger with hands like anchors was about to rewrite my rules for survival, pulling me into a fight I never asked for, but one that would bind us in ways neither of us saw coming. Morning cracked open gray and unforgiving, the kind of December light that filters through smog like it's too tired to shine proper. Arthur was already up, brewing coffee strong enough to strip paint. His flannel shirt rolled to the elbows as he flipped eggs in a cast-iron skillet. "Rise and shine, champ," he called, not turning around. "World don't wait for pity parties." I groaned, rubbing sleep from my eyes, the couch's springs digging into my back like accusations. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. 3 missed calls from an unknown number, probably Dad circling back with more venom, or nothing at all. I silenced it, the weight of isolation settling heavier than the blanket. "Sit," Arthur said, plating the food with the efficiency of someone who'd fed himself through worse. Scrambled eggs, toast charred just right, and bacon crisp as autumn leaves. It was simple, unpretentious, the kind of breakfast that said, "This is how we endure without needing words." We ate in companionable quiet at first, the clink of forks the only soundtrack. Then he set his down, fixing me with that unflinching gaze. "So, Sean, what's the play? You crash in here till the storm blows over, or we talking long-term? 'Cause I ain't running a hostel." I swallowed hard, the eggs turning to lead. "I don't know. Job at the coffee shop starts next week. Barista gig, barely covers rent. But home." My voice trailed, the wound too fresh to prod. He nodded, no judgment. "Family's a loaded gun sometimes. Points the barrel wrong way and boom. But you're still standin'. That's step 1. He pushed back from the table, grabbing a duffel from the corner. "Step 2, you learn to throw a punch. Can't fight life's curveballs if you don't know how to duck." Before I could protest, he was herding me out the door, down the stairs, into the chill bite of the street. The air smelled of exhaust and pretzels from a vendor cart 2 blocks over, the neighborhood waking with the grind of delivery trucks and dog walkers bundled against the wind. We walked to a hole-in-the-wall gym tucked between a laundromat and a pawn shop, Russo's Fight Club, the sign red in peeling red paint, no frills, just the thump of heavy bags and the sharp crack of gloves meeting pads. Inside, it was a sweat-soaked sanctuary. Rings stained with old blood, mirrors fogged from exertion, a ring of grizzled men nodding at Arthur like he was kin. "This here's Sean," he announced to the room, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "New blood. Treat him gentle. First time swingin'." Laughter rippled, good-natured, and I felt my cheeks burn. But Arthur didn't let me shrink. He laced me into gloves that smelled of leather and effort, wrapped my hands with tape that bit just right, and positioned me in front of a heavy bag that loomed like Judgment Day. "Feel it," he instructed, his voice low, close enough that I caught the faint scent of his aftershave, sandalwood and steel. "Plant your feet like roots. Fist loose till impact, then boom, power from the hips, not the arm. You're not hittin' to hurt. You're hittin' to claim space. I swung, awkward at first, the bag barely shuddering. He adjusted my stance, hands on my shoulders, then my waist, firm, corrective, igniting a spark I wasn't ready to name. Again, he growled. And I did, the impact jarring up my arm like electricity. A release that cracked something open inside. By the end of the hour, I was bruised, breathless, alive in a way I hadn't been since the confession. Sweat stung my eyes, but I grinned through it, catching Arthur's nod of approval. Not bad, kid. Not bad at all. Back at the brownstone, we shared a beer on the stoop. His mine root beer, build intolerance slow. Watching the sun dip low, painting the row houses in gold. He talked then, fragments of his own story slipping out like smoke from his cigarette. Grew up in the Bronx, dad a cop who drank too much, mom gone early to cancer. Came out at 17, got the boot same as me, but channeled the rage into fists and fixes. Mechanic by trade, amateur boxer by fire. Fought my way through it, he said, exhaling slow. But fightin' alone? Burns you out. Need someone in your corner. His words hung there, heavy with implication, and for the first time since the rain-soaked alley, I felt seen, not as the broken son, but as Sean, whole and worth the ring. Little did I know, the ropes around us were tightening, weaving trust into something deeper, more dangerous. As the city lights flickered on like stars we'd have to navigate together. Weeks blurred into a rhythm that felt dangerously like home. Mornings of clanging wrenches in Arthur's garage down the block, where he'd let me shadow him, handing tools and learning the poetry of engines. How a V8 purred when coaxed right, a metaphor for the heart he was quietly rebuilding in me. Afternoons bled into gym sessions, my punches sharpening from flailing desperation to controlled fury. Arthur's voice the steady drum. Breathe through it, Sean. Fear's just fuel if you burn it smart. Nights were quieter, sacred almost. The brownstone's kitchen alive with takeout from the halal cart or Arthur's half-remembered recipes. Spaghetti carbonara that tasted like forgiveness. We'd talk or not talk, the TV murmuring old boxing matches in the background. His arms slung casual over the couch back, close enough that his warmth chased the December chill. I caught myself lingering on the lines of his profile, the way his laugh rumbled low when I botched a story from my barista shifts. Customers with attitudes thicker than their lattes, tips drier than the Sahara. You're getting it, he'd say, not just about the job but life, like he saw the man I could be emerging from the wreckage. And God, that gaze. It undid me, gray eyes softening in the lamplight, stirring once I'd buried under layers of shame. Was it gratitude, hero worship, or something rawer? The kind that bloomed in stolen glances, his hand brushing mine over a shared bowl of popcorn? One evening, after a brutal sparring session where I'd finally landed a hook that made him grunt, progress, he patched me up in the bathroom, hydrogen peroxide fizzing on a split knuckle. The mirror fogged from our heat, his fingers steady as he dabbed, close enough I could count the silver threads in his stubble. Proud of you, kid, he murmured, voice husky, and the air thickened, charged like the moment before a storm breaks. Our eyes met in the glass, and for a heartbeat, I thought he'd close the gap, that rough hand cupping my jaw instead of the rag. But he pulled back, clearing his throat. Get some ice on that. Big day tomorrow. Tomorrow was my first real fight. Not pro, just an underground smoker at Russo's, a fundraiser for the gym's leaky roof. The thought twisted my gut, but Arthur's belief was a drug I couldn't quit. You'll shine, he promised, tossing me a mouthguard with a wink that lingered too long. The gym thrummed that night, packed with locals and faded teas, the air thick with sweat and cheap beer. I bounced on my toes in the corner, gloves laced tight, heart a war drum. Arthur wrapped my hands backstage, his touch lingering on my wrists, thumbs pressing pulses that raced under his skin. Eyes on me, he said, tilting my chin up. This ain't about winning. It's about you showing up. For you. His words anchored me as the bell clanged. My opponent a wiry kid from Queens with a mean jab. The crowd blurred. Cheers a roar, faces a sea. But Arthur's voice cut through. Jab high, Sean. Pivot. I danced, ducked, connected. A straight right that snapped his head back, the impact singing through me like vindication. Rounds flew, bruises blooming, but I held the line, the ring my confessional. When the ref raised my hand, victory by decision. The whoop from Arthur's corner drowned the rest, his grin wide and unguarded as he vaulted the ropes, pulling me into a bear hug that crushed the breath from my lungs. Told you, he laughed against my ear, his breath hot on my neck, and in that crush of bodies and triumph, I felt it crack open. Not just respect, but need, the kind that whispered his name in the dark. We celebrated low-key after, at a dive bar 2 blocks over, neon buzzing Luckies in green flicker. Beers flowed, toasts to the underdog, Arthur's arm around my shoulders like it belonged. The jukebox crooned Springsteen, Born to Run, fitting. And as the crowd thinned, he leaned in, voice low over the din. You were something tonight, Sean. Made me remember why I keep coming back to this. Our knees knocked under the scarred table, accidental at first, then not. His hand found mine in the shadows, calluses mapping my palm like territory claimed. Arthur, I started, voice thick, but he squeezed, gray eyes searching. I know, he said simply, thumb tracing my knuckles. Me too. The kiss, when it came, was inevitable, slow, tentative in the truck on the ride home, his lips tasting of hops and hesitation. Parked under a street lamp's halo, rain pattering soft on the roof, he cupped my face, gentle as if I were glass. It wasn't fire, not yet, but embers kindling, his stubble grazing mine, a promise in the press. We broke apart breathless, foreheads touching, the city a distant hum. Never done this, I admitted, vulnerability raw. Not like this, not after. He nodded, understanding etching his brow. We take it slow, no rush, just us. That us wrapped around me like the blankets on his couch. Now my bed by choice, the brownstone our fragile fortress. Days turned tender. Lazy Sundays with newspapers spread wide. His head in my lap as I read aloud from the sports page, fingers carding through his hair. Gym sessions laced with flirtation. His teasing corrections, my playful jabs landing lighter, charged. But shadows crept in, subtle at first. A phone call he'd take in the garage, voice dropping low, urgent. Yeah, I got it covered. No, not now. I catch him staring out windows, jaw tight, like ghosts from his past were knocking. When I asked, he'd brush it off. Old debts, nothing to sweat. I wanted to believe him, lost in the romance of it all. The way he'd leave notes on the fridge. Coffee's on, kick-ass today, scrawled in block letters. The nights we'd walk the bridge at dusk. Manhattan skyline a glittering confessor to our secrets. Love, I realized, wasn't the grand gestures of movies, but these quiet stitches mending my frayed edges. Yet doubt whispered. Was I his redemption, or just a bandage for wounds he wouldn't share? One night, after a shift where a customer sneered, "Fairy," under his breath, old habits dying hard, I came home sullen, slamming cabinets. Arthur found me at the sink, hands fisted white on the edge. Talk to me, he urged, arms encircling from behind, chin on my shoulder. It's nothing, I lied, but he turned me gentle, eyes fierce. Bull, you're carrying it alone again. Let me in, Sean. The dam broke. Words tumbling about the slur, the stares, the fear that this happiness was borrowed time. He listened, then pulled me close, his hold a vow. Those assholes? They don't get to define you. You do. And you're the strongest damn soul I've met. We made love that night. Not bodies crashing, but souls aligning, slow and sacred in the dim of his room. Sheets tangled like our histories. His touches mapped scars I hadn't known he carried. A knife fight in his 20s, a lover lost to the streets, and in the afterglow, whispers of forever felt possible. But forever's a fragile word in Brooklyn, where sirens wail like omens. The next morning, a knock shattered the peace, sharp, insistent. Arthur tensed at the door, peering through the peephole before swearing low. Stay here. I didn't. Peeking from the hall, I saw the man on the stoop. Slick suit, shark smile, envelope in hand. Payments due, Kowalski. Boss ain't patient. Arthur's face hardened to stone. Tell Gino I said no. We're square. The man laughed, cold. Square? After what you pulled. Interest compounds. Friend. As the door shut, Arthur crumpled the envelope, but not before I glimpsed the figure. 5 grand, stamped, final notice. Debts. The word he'd dodged. My stomach dropped. How deep did this rabbit hole go? The envelope burned a hole in the trash can, but it scorched my thoughts hotter. I didn't confront Arthur that day. Couldn't. Not when he ruffled my hair on the way to the gym, oblivious or pretending. His grin a shield I wanted to believe in. Double session today, he announced over the rumble of the subway. Our fingers laced casual in the crush of commuters. Gonna work that southpaw of yours till it sings. Russo's was a madhouse, holiday hype cranking the energy. Eggnog in the coolers, tinsel strung crooked over the bags. I threw myself into the drills, sweat the solvent for my unease, Arthur's barks of encouragement a lifeline. That's it, Sean. Faint left, cross right, your poetry when you move. Poetry. The word stuck, absurd and sweet, as we sparred light, his gloves tapping my guard like Morse code. Afterward, toweling off in the locker room, steam thick as secrets, I caught him watching. Not coaching, but claiming, eyes tracing the sweat-slick line of my collarbone. Heat flushed me, unrelated to the showers, and I stepped closer, bumping his hip playful. See something you like, coach? I teased, voice low, the flirt a bomb. He chuckled, pulling me into the corner stall, door clicking shut. Everything, he murmured, kiss sealing it. Quick, fierce, tasting of salt and promise. For a moment, the envelope vanished, the world narrowing to his hands on my waist, the press of him solid and sure. But reality intruded like a bad cut. My phone lit up mid-kiss, Mom's number flashing after weeks of radio silence. I froze, Arthur's brow furrowing. Answer it, he urged, stepping back. Whatever it is, you've got this. Her voice was thin, strained when I picked up. Sean? It's Mom. Pause heavy as lead. Your father. He's sorry. Come home for Christmas. Please. The plea twisted like a knife. Sorry? After the exile? I glanced at Arthur, his nod steady, and choked out, I can't. Not yet. Click. The line went dead, taking my resolve with it. Arthur didn't push, just drove us home through snow-dusted streets, Christmas lights twinkling mocking in shop windows. Family's messy, he said finally, pulling over at a red light. But doors swing both ways. When you're ready. Ready. The word mocked me as we decorated his sad little tree that night. Faded ornaments from his ma, tinsel I strung with shaky hands. He played Dean Martin croons, voice rumbling along off-key, and for an hour it was magic. His laughter when I hung a star crooked, the way he kissed pine needles from my hair. Then, slipping out for smokes, I found the envelope again. Fished from trash, smoothed flat in his jacket pocket. Curiosity one. I peeked. Not just debt, but details. A bar brawl years back, Arthur swinging at Gino's enforcer over a disrespect to his then-lover. A guy named Marco who'd OD'd months later. Guilt money? Protection racket echoes? My chest tightened. Arthur, my rock, tangled in shadows that could swallow us. I confronted him over cocoa, mugs steaming on the table. What's with the envelope, Arthur? Who the hell's Gino? His face shuddered, mug pausing mid-sip. Nothing you need to worry. Bullshit. My voice cracked, sharper than intended. I'm in this. So talk. He sighed, running a hand over his face, lines deepening. Old mistake. Back when I was hot-headed, Marco. He was everything. Gino's crew roughed him up once. Over nothing. I lost it, put one in the hospital. Since. Compoundin' like interest on a bad loan. And Marco? The name tasted bitter. Gone. Pills. My fault partly. Shoulda protected him better. His eyes dropped, vulnerability raw. Thought I was done with that life. Then you. Me. The unfinished sentence hung, a bridge or a break. I reached across, hand over his. You're not that guy anymore, but we face it together. No secrets. He nodded, pulling me close, the kiss sealing our pact. Deeper now, laced with the weight of truths shared. Together? He echoed. And in bed that night, tangled and tender, I believed it, his heartbeat a steady drum against mine. Christmas Eve dawned brittle, snow blanketing Brooklyn in hush. Arthur surprised me with tickets. Ringside for a garden bout. Your turn to watch me coach from afar. We bundled up, the city a wonderland of twinkling displays, hot chestnuts from vendors scenting the air. At the arena, the roar enveloped us, gloves cracking like fireworks. And as the fighters danced, Arthur's arm around me felt invincible. Post-fight, buzzed on adrenaline and rum-spiked cider, we wandered Madison Square, laughing at drunks in Santa hats. This, I said, spinning him under a street lamp's glow. This is what I never knew I needed. His smile softened, hand cupping my neck. You make it real, Sean. But the idol shattered on the stoop. Gino's man again, this time with muscle, 2 goons flanking the suit. Kowalski, boss wants a word. Now. Arthur tensed, shoving me behind. Not tonight. Merry fucking Christmas. The suit smirked. Every night's collection night. Unless your boy's collateral. Fear iced my veins, but Arthur's growl was feral. Touch him, you die slow. They backed off, laughing low, but the threat lingered like exhaust. Inside, Arthur paced, fists clenched. I gotta end this. Tomorrow I meet Gino, square it. No, I protested, grabbing his arm. We go together. Cops. Cops. He barked a laugh bitter. Gino owns half the precinct. This is my mess. Our fight erupted then. Not fists, but words, sharp as hooks. Your mess is ours, I yelled. You taught me to fight, not hide. He deflated, pulling me into a hug that bruised. I know, God, I know. Just scared to lose you before I even have you. The vulnerability cracked me open, tears hot on his shirt. You won't. Promise. We made fragile peace. Love making a reclaiming, slow, eyes locked, bodies a language of I'm here. Sleep came fitful, dreams of rings and ropes blurring with faces from my past. New Year's loomed, but resolution felt hollow. My barista job steadied. Tips up with holiday cheer, co-workers clapping my back for the smoker win, but unease gnawed. Mom texted sporadically, doors open, Dad silent. I ignored, focused on us, on Arthur's garage shifts where I'd help, grease under nails, his winks over carburetors. Then the betrayal blindside. A week into January, post-gym, I found Arthur on the stoop with Gino's suit. No goons, just tense words. Half now, rest by March, Arthur muttered, handing cash. My rent money, the envelope from Christmas fat with bills. I froze in the doorway, heart plummeting. He dipped into our pot without a word. Arthur. He startled, face paling. Sean, it's us? This. I snatched the envelope, bills fluttering like accusations. You lied. Again. It's to protect you, he pleaded, reaching. Gino threatened. By keeping me in the dark? That's not protection. That's control. Rage boiled. Old wounds reopening. Dad's truck. The abandonment. I thought we were past this. He recoiled like slapped. We are. I swear. But doubt flooded, cold as the slush underfoot. I stormed inside, door slamming, the lock clicking final. Curled on the bed, sobs racking. I wondered if love was just another ring to get battered in. Morning brought regret, but Arthur was gone. Note on the table. Meeting Gino. Stay safe. Love, a. Panic surged. I bolted after. Subway blurring to the warehouse district. Heart in throat. The building loomed derelict. Chain link rattling in wind. Inside. Echoes of voices. Gino's oily drawl, Arthur's defiance. Full payment next week. No more games. Laughter. Then a thud, flesh meeting wall. I burst in. Arthur. Chaos. Goons advancing, Gino smirking. Arthur, lips split, eyes wild. Sean, run. I didn't. Adrenaline surged, gym lessons flashing. Feint, jab, hook. I swung at the nearest thug, gloveless fist connecting with a crack that stunned us both. He staggered. Arthur roared, tackling the other. Fists flew, grunts and curses, until Gino barked retreat. Crazy kids. Fine week's grace. We stumbled out bloodied, breaths ragged, Arthur's arm around me tight. You came, he gasped, awe in his voice. Always, I replied. And in that warehouse hush, bruised but unbroken, we kissed, salty with blood, sweet with survival. But the cracks lingered, trust a fragile mend. Spring crept into Brooklyn tentative, cherry blossoms tentative along the promenade. But our thaw was slower, trust rebuilding like an engine rebuilt part by part. Arthur sold his old Harley to cover the debt. Fresh start, he called it, though the loss hollowed his eyes, and we vowed transparency, weekly check-ins over diner pie, laying fears bare like cards on the table. You're my North Star, Sean, he'd say, fingers tracing mine over checkered vinyl, and I'd melt, believing the poetry again. Gym became sanctuary, my skills honing to edge. Russo inviting me for amateur bouts, crowds chanting my name. Arthur in my corner, towel ready, pride beaming brighter than the ring lights. Yet undercurrents pulled. Mom's calls escalated, voice cracking with your father's changed. Therapy, come see. Guilt gnawed, blood calling. A tether I couldn't fully sever. Arthur encouraged. Go if it heals. I'll be here. The visit home was a minefield. Staten Island suburb, cookie-cutter house with Dad's truck in the drive. Unthreatening now. Mom hugged fierce, tears soaking my shirt. Dad awkward, handshake firm. Proud of your fightin', son? He mumbled over pot roast, words stumbling but sincere. No magic fix, but a door cracked enough for now. Arthur waited with takeout and open arms, listening as I unpacked the ache. It's progress, he murmured, holding me through the night. Love deepened in these layers, not just passion, but partnership, planning a road trip come summer. Route 66 dreams whispered in dark. But betrayal's shadow loomed larger when Marco's sister surfaced. Lila, sharp-eyed and grieving, tracking Arthur via gym gossip. She cornered us at a block party, fireworks popping overhead, her voice slicing through the bass of reggaeton. You owe him more than money, Art. Marco died thinking you bailed. Arthur paled, beer forgotten. Lila, you vanished after the funeral, left us to bury him alone. Her gaze flicked to me, accusatory. And now, playin' house while his ghost pays. I stepped back, stung. Playin' house? Was that us? Arthur explained later over the East River's glitter. Marco's family blamed him for the spiral, the fight with Gino the trigger. I didn't bail. I broke. Thought distance healed. Stupid. Empathy warred with hurt. Had he healed enough for me? Am I rebound? The question slipped, vulnerable. His denial was fierce, hands framing my face. No, you're the first real since. The one who makes me want tomorrow. Kiss followed, desperate, under bridge arches, convincing in its hunger. Summer scorched in, our road trip a revelation. Dusty highways from Chicago's blues bars to desert motels. Arthur's playlist heavy on Dylan and Cash. We skinny dipped in canyon streams. Innocent, joyful, laughed at flat tires, shared sunsets from tailgates. In a Taos cabin, under star-pricked skies, he proposed not rings, but words. Build with me, Sean. Not just survive, thrive. Tears pricked. I nodded, heart full. Back in Brooklyn, life pulsed. My first paid bout, win clean, crowd electric. Arthur's cheer loudest, post-fight flowers wilted in his fist. Roses, red as his flush. But autumn winds carried Gino's chill. A courtesy call, suit at the garage. Boss heard about your boys' fights. Talent like that could use protection or leverage. Arthur's rebuff was steel, but fear seated. Leverage? Me? Nights he'd wake sweating, dreams of Marco's pale face. I'd soothe, but cracks widened. My independence blooming, barista to trainer aide at Russo's, while his shop struggled, clients thinning. The fracture hit mid-October, leaves flaming in Prospect Park. A letter arrived, Lila again, enclosing Marco's journal, pages dog-eared. Entries of Arthur's rages, absences, love twisted toxic. Read this, she wrote, before you repeat history. I devoured it in the park, bench cold under me, words blurring. Art's fire consumes. I can't breathe. Doubt flooded. Was Arthur's protectiveness cage or care? Confrontation exploded at dinner, journal slapping the table. You hid this? I accused, voice shaking. His pain, our mirror? Arthur recoiled, then fired back. I changed. For you. But defensiveness rang hollow, old patterns peaking. Words escalated. You're smothering. I'm saving us. Until I stormed out, wandering rain-slick streets, ending at the gym, heavy bag my confessor. Punches rained, tears mixing sweat, until exhaustion dropped me. Arthur found me at dawn, bruised and broken. I'm sorry, he whispered, kneeling. I see it now, my fear, not love, building walls. Confession poured. Therapy started. Ghosts faced. Fight with me? To be better. I nodded, weary but willing. Our embrace tentative mend. But trust, once cracked, leaked slow. Winter gripped again, holidays bittersweet. Mom's table inclusive now. Dad's toast to family, however it fits. Arthur charmed, but tension hummed, his eyes distant. The high tide broke New Year's. Gino's ultimatum, delivered via slash tires at the garage. Join or bleed. Arthur's choice, underground fixes for cars hot or risk all. He chose wrong. Late nights, grease mixed with guilt, lies layering. Over time, I tailed him once, warehouse shadows revealing the truth. Boosted plates, Arthur wrenching under duress. Betrayal gutted me, confrontation a storm. You're backsliding, dragging us down. To keep you safe, he roared, but eyes pleaded. Safe? This is poison. I fled to Mom's, days blurring in numb haze. Gym skipped, phone silent. He persisted. Letters slid under doors, flowers at work. I quit tonight. For us. Proof followed. Cop report. Gino's crew busted on unrelated. Arthur's testimony key. Reunion was raw, his apartment, me hesitant, him shattered. Never again. He vowed, knees to floor. You're my fight worth winning. Forgiveness came hard, but love deeper, therapy joint now, shadows named. Spring bloomed anew, our bond tempered steel. Summer's swelter pressed Brooklyn flat. Air thick as unspoken fears, but we pushed through. Couples counseling in a sunlit office, Arthur's gruff admissions softening to vulnerability. My walls crumbling under his steady siege. I was lost till you, he'd say post-session. Ice cream cones dripping on Coney Island boardwalk. Ferris wheel lights winking promise. My career sparked. Russo's pro scout sniffed talent, offering a developmental contract. Small purse, but legitimacy. Arthur beamed at the signing, beer raised in toast. To the champ, pride swelled, but so did pressure, expectations. The ring's glare mirroring our private battles. Gino's ghost lingered faint, but Lila returned, olive branch in hand. Coffee at a neutral cafe, her eyes softer. Heard you two are solid. Marco'd want that, love that heals. Journal returned, annotated with her notes. We all break. It's mendin' that counts. Catharsis washed me. I shared with Arthur. Our night a reckoning. Tears, touches, recommitment etched in skin. Yet cracks spiderwebbed. My rising star pulled hours, travel for camps. While Arthur's shop stabilized slow. Envy flickering unbidden in his silences. Miss you in the grease. He'd joke, but undertone ached. The storm brewed in September. Leaves turning traitor. About in Philly win, but sloppy jet lag and tension fraying focus. Hotel call. Arthur's voice strained. Lila's in town. Talkin' closure. Jealousy irrational spiked. Marco's shadow? I cut short. Handle it. I'm fine. But doubt festered on the train home. Confrontation waited at Penn Station. His hug tight but eyes evasive. What happened? I pressed cab ride tense. Nothing. Old wounds. Lie hung heavy. Home unpacked it. Lila's visit twisted. Gino's remnants pressuring her for dirt. Arthur shielding. But in protect mode he'd stonewalled me. Thought it'd pass. Without me. Hurt lashed. I'm partner. Not fragile. Fight reignited old fires. Yells echoing brownstone halls. Doors slamming. I crashed at Russo's spare room. Jim my exile. Punches punishing phantom foes. Days stretched. Radio silence my weapon. Until Arthur's plea. Handwritten. Raw. I default to alone 'cause losin' hurts less. But you're worth the terror. Enclosed. Tickets to his ma's grave. Invitation to roots. I went. Upstate cemetery. Autumn gold framing stone. Arthur kneeling, voice breaking. Ma. This is Sean. The one who saved me back. Stories flowed, her laugh. His childhood scrapes. And in that quiet, I saw him whole, scars and shine. Reconciliation burned bright. Love-making fervent. Words vowing growth. No more islands, we swore. But fate's hook landed cruel. Winter training camp in Vegas. My ticket to contenders. Arthur drove me, desert stretching endless. Proud, he said at drop-off, kiss lingering. Come back champ. Weeks blurred. Sparring brutal, focus laser. Until a call shattered. Arthur's shop torched. Arson whispers of Gino's diehards. He was safe, but shell-shocked, voice hollow. They came for me. Again. Guilt crushed. My absence his target. I flew back mid-camp. Priorities realigning. Brooklyn smoldered. Garage ash. Arthur bunking with Russo. Eyes haunted. Shoulda told you sooner. He admitted over charred beams. Firefighters tape fluttering. Saw him scoutin'. Didn't want to pull you. Rage and love ward. We're team. Not this lone wolf crap. His breakdown followed. Sobs against my chest. Confessions of inadequacy. You're risin'. I'm anchor. Dragging you under. No, I fierce. You're my why. We rebuilt insurance claims, community fundraisers, gym rats pitching in. Arthur apprenticed at a rival shop, humility his teacher. Spring brought bloom. My title fight announced Madison Square, prime time. Training montage life. Dawn runs along the Hudson. Arthur's pads my rhythm. Love our fuel. Visualize victory, he'd coach. But eyes said more, victory in us. Fight night electrified. Garden pulsing. Lights blinding. Crowd a beast. Opponent. Toro. Beast from Detroit. Hooks like hammers. Rounds 1-2. I danced, jabbing, but his power grazed vision spotting. Corner. Arthur's hands steady. Ice soothing. Breathe, love. Your storm. His kiss on glove, secret, sacred, ignited fire. Final rounds. I unleashed, combination crisp. Hook landing Toro's jaw. Ref counting 10. Victory. Roar deafened. Belt heavy. But Arthur's arms home. Podium tears. Dedication to the man who taught me to stand. Cameras caught his blush. Our story snippet in headlines. From streets to straps. Fighters' love fuels comeback. But joy's peak plunged sharp. Post-fight gala. Champagne flowing. Lila approached. Proud of him. Then whisper, Gino's out. Parole. Watchbacks. Fear-iced celebration. Home. Arthur paced. We move or fight? Decision brewed slow. Root here or flee. Counseling urged roots, but with eyes open. Climax crested June. Gino's ambush. Alley behind Jim. Goons waiting as Arthur locked up. I arrived late, spotting shadows, heart seizing. Run! I yelled, but dove in, fists flying, old lessons alive. Chaos. Kicks, curses, my knee connecting ribs, Arthur's uppercut dropping one. Gino himself lunged, knife flashing. For Marco! Arthur shielded, blade grazing arm, blood blooming. Rage blinded. I tackled, pinning, siren wail saving us. Cops swarmed, Gino cuffed, snarling defeat. Hospital wait. Stitches, shock, Arthur's hand in mine. You saved me, he rasped. We saved each other. Summer waned gentle, scars fading to stories. Arthur's arm a pink line, reminder etched like our tattoos. Matching compass roses inked post-incident, true north scripted beneath. Gino's trial loomed, but justice felt secondary to healing. Community wrapping us in potlucks and get-well cards. Brooklyn's grit turning tender. My belt defense scheduled fall, but priorities shifted. Arthur's therapy deepened, mine too. Solo sessions unpacking Dad's ghost. Forgiveness a slow unfurl. Family dinners normalized. Dad's pride genuine now. Toasts clinking to second chances. Love matured, less wildfire, more hearth. Mornings tangled lazy, coffee brewed strong. Arthur's hummed to jazz on the radio as he sketched garage blueprints. Rebirth planned. Investor bites from fight fame. We'd walk the promenade at dusk. Hands linked open now. Skyline our witness. This, he'd say, kissing knuckles. This is the win. Yet humanity's edge cut. Lila's wedding invite arrived. Marco's memory honored in vows. We attended. Upstate vineyard. Autumn vines heavy. Arthur best man. Speech cracking. Love's not perfect. It's persistent. Tears flowed. Dance floor hours. Slow sway to strings. Healing communal. Winter whispered change. My rematch against Toro, but Arthur's surprise. I'm managing now. Official. Contract signed over diner fries, partnership sealed. Fight eve, ritual hours, pasta heavy, movie marathon, his head on my chest, heartbeat sync. Whatever tomorrow, he murmured. We've got forever after. Arena thrummed electric. Lights a halo. Crowd chant, Sean, Sean. Toro fiercer, grudge-fueling hooks, but I flowed, feints fluid, power precise. Blood trickled, rounds blurred, but Arthur's corner voice anchored. Heart, love, heart. Bell told victory again, belt retained, embrace crushing. Podium. To Arthur, protector, partner, my fight. Post-glory haze. Media buzz, but we ducked to the brownstone. Tree twinkling premature. His proposal quiet, box simple, ring silver. Marry me? Not for show. For us. Tears yes, kiss ceiling, planning small courthouse spring party at Russo's. But life's poetry twists. Dad's heart scare midwinter, hospital vigil pulling me home, Arthur steadfast sighed. Family's wide now, he said, holding Mom's hand too. Recovery slow, but bonds mended. Dad's whisper pre-discharge. Glad you fought for this, son. Spring bloomed vows. Cherry petals confetti. Rings exchanged under bridge arches, witnesses kin. Russo toasting gruff, Lila beaming, Mom dabbing eyes. Vows raw, Arthur's, I choose you, every round. Mine you taught me standing tall. Honeymoon road. Same route 66, but loops closing. Canyons echoing laughs, motels memory-haunted sweet. Back, garage reopened grand. Kowalski and Kane repairs. Sign proud, ribbon cut amid cheers. Years folded. My career peaked then pivoted. Trainer now, gym co-owned with Arthur. Mentoring kids like us, Fight Club youth program birthing dreams. His shop thrived, expansions to custom bikes. Ink sleeves his art. Challenges came, relapse shadows, my shoulder blowout ending gloves. But we leaned, therapy tandem, vacations unplugging, love's language fluent. Decade mark. Brownstone ours fully, garden patch blooming defiant. Anniversary toast on stoop. From alley rain to this. Arthur's grin timeless. Best scrap of my life. Humanity's arc bent gentle. Not flawless, but full. Forgiveness dads. Marco's peace via Lila's family ties. Our scars badges shared. In quiet nights, his arm around. City hum lullaby. I knew. Abandoned once, but found in fight. Not fists alone, but heart's unyielding ring. We stood, not unbroken, but beautifully mended, protectors each to other, forever the unexpected grace.